everyone, welcome to another JSYO audition preparation with musicians of the Jacksonville Symphony. We have Chris Bassett here again. He's the bass trombonist for the Jacksonville Symphony, and he's going to talk a little bit about the third bass trombone excerpt that we have up for auditions today. The Ride of the Valkyries from Wagner's Die Walküre. So hi, Chris.
Yeah, how's it going?
So this is a very famous trombone excerpt.
So famous it was even used in Bugs Bunny cartoons.
That's how you know it's famous, if Bugs Bunny has taken it. So here it is. Ride of the Valkyries from 8 before 11 to rehearsal 12. It's the third trombone part, and it has 5 sharps. For those of you who did not pay attention to the case signature, it does have 5 sharps. Great. So the reason we picked this excerpt is to demonstrate a couple things, and these are the things that we're going to be listening for. So one, rhythm. We're always listening to rhythm. Audition panels will listen to rhythm as pretty much the very first thing. If the rhythm's bad, we pretty much will dismiss the audition. So this is a great excerpt for showing your attention to detail with rhythm. 2, control, because this is a louder dynamic, and we want to make sure that you have control over your louder dynamics. And 3, control of articulation in that dynamic. Would you agree there, Chris?
Absolutely. And those are absolutely the first things we listen for in auditions.
Great. So you mentioned when we were talking that the rhythm is really tricky to get absolutely right in this excerpt. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it can be a little tricky. I think the thing that makes it the trickiest is that it's actually the entire excerpt is all the same rhythm, every single bar. So it all needs to be extremely consistent. And if one bar's rhythm is just a little bit off, it all sounds wrong, to be honest. So something to help with our rhythm, I like to take rhythm and just get rid of any note that we have that exists. First, we can start by just kind of singing it. Now, we can start singing it either how it's written on the page, or we can take it a little bit different. What's written on the page is 1 and 2 and dun 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 dun. Now we can sing that right away, but if we're feeling that might not be so square, we can take it back a few steps and work it to that. So the way I like to do it first is get rid of that dotted eighth note and get rid of the 16th note. And I'm going to just kind of mutate them like the transformers and put them into just square eighth notes. So all we're going to have is 3 triplet eighth notes on that first beat there. So we'll get something that sounds like this. 1 and 2 and dun 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 dun. I'd go ahead and cycle that over a few times. Just play that back and forth, bar after bar after bar. So we really feel comfortable with just a really basic rhythm that we all know already. Now the next step to this would be to go ahead and add in, change those 3/8 notes to where we have first note will be an eighth note. Then we'll have 2 16ths followed by another eighth note, and then the dotted quarters. So we'll get 1 and 2 and 3. Dun 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 dun. Paying particular attention to the second of the 16th notes, because that's exactly where the actual rhythm is going to fall. Now that's my way to get the rhythm, and then we go back to dun 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 dun. That's going to help us there.
Okay, great. I think that's breaking down the rhythm, kind of breaking it down into its parts. So so you would practice a lot of singing to get the rhythm correct.
Yeah, I would practice singing because we don't really need to just go ahead and practice the instrument for that to get rhythm. We can save ourselves some bass, and we can save ourselves time spent on the horn later. We just keep playing, we're just going to tire ourselves out. So might as well, if we're having a rhythmic issue, let's just go ahead and sing it.
And I think that's really important with any orchestral excerpt too, because as an audition panel, we listen for rhythm and intonation, of course. Those are the first 2 things. But if you're getting those 2 things right, we're now listening for your kind of concept of orchestral playing. And if you don't have a really strong singing voice in your head about how you want that to sound, it really comes through in the audition room.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Playing in an orchestra is having everybody singing on the same thing.
And something that can help that is one, listening to great recordings of the piece and finding your excerpt, but 2, also finding the score. This one is readily available. I'll pull that up right here. You can grab it off of IMSLP. and this is in the third act of Die Valkyrie, and you can see that the excerpt starts right here. So you can kind of see what's going on in the rest of the orchestra. It's a lot of fluttery things in the strings and the woodwinds, but there's some rhythm in the horns happening here. And if you can hear all of, especially this rhythm in the horns, if you can hear that and demonstrate that you hear that in your audition, you'll be surprised at how differently you will play the excerpt and how it sounds to the audition panel.
Absolutely. The importance of score study is just absolutely right up there. For this excerpt, it may not be as important as the rest, because we're really the only section that has something going on at the moment, and the rest is fluttery, as we mentioned. But it's still important to know what's going on. If you didn't know that before I just told you that, or we just showed you that, that shows that you do need to look at the score, absolutely. Or anything else you ever play, it's really important to look at the score, whether it's a full orchestra or just your solo with the piano.
Well, let's take a look right here, Chris. Actually, it's really important because, let me see if I can zoom in right here. These dotted quarter notes I can hear already in the audition room will be rushed.
Yes.
But if you can hear this horn part while you're playing your excerpt, you will not tend to rush these notes.
Absolutely. I make sure I kind of keep my head down and make sure I'm just right on the beat, but really making sure I subdivide that all the way through. And that's going to be another helpful thing too. If the straight eighths doesn't work, you go ahead and subdivide that first bar, that first beat. That's it.
So, Chris, after you kind of have the rhythm singing part down, what might you do next to practice this excerpt?
After the rhythm part down, I'm going to actually go to the notes, because the notes can be a little bit tricky to get. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's really just a B major arpeggio. If you're having trouble with the key signature, don't be ashamed at all or afraid of marking in the accidentals along the way. You should see some of my parts that are covered with that kind of stuff. So I make sure I'm always playing what I'm supposed to. But for the notes, what can be fun, I'll go ahead and actually do the first way that I mentioned when we just kind of sang through the rhythm of the three normal triple eighth notes. And I'll go ahead and play the actual, go ahead and play just one note. So we get the rhythm, but we're going to enforce the basically pedal note for the whole thing.
Okay.
And then I'll kind of do something different. I'll go ahead and add that F sharp. So we want to get the F sharp. So we're going to go to that, and then we have a couple other things we can do, where we can actually now, if we want to focus on that F sharp, which is going to usually be the trouble with this whole excerpt, is the shorter notes actually getting the seat right properly and in place, and not either being ghosted or too marky. Change the rhythm just a little bit. So we're kind of reversing the 16th and the dotted eighth. Sharp to linger a little bit longer, so we really feel kind of where it lies.
I like that exercise a lot, Chris, because that short note's gonna get lost, and short notes always get lost, and great orchestras make sure that those short notes don't get lost.
Exactly. It's something we stole from tuba players, actually, as trumpets. But then we're going to go ahead and play it the right way.
Awesome. And then you would do that with each bar, maybe?
I would do that with every single bar, yes. Especially once we get a little bit further along into bar 8. It's going to be a little bit trickier.
Let me see if I can help you out here. You said bar 8?
Yeah, that bar right there. That's going to be just a little bit trickier, just because we're out in 5th position, which isn't a good position for trombone anyway. We really want to make sure we square up that C sharp. That can be a little bit tricky. We're dealing with mostly thirds throughout here in the arpeggiation, but now we have 4th, so we really need to hear that better. Again, back to song with. So that I would really spend time there. The very next bar I would also spend a lot of time on.
So this bar right here.
Do the exact same thing we just did for the first bar here. It's going to help you out through the entire excerpt. And this especially because we really want to make sure we get that E to speak. Oftentimes, because we want to have a vowel, it might not actually speak at all.
So you're doing that reverse rhythm so that you reverse the rhythm of the first two notes.
Start with
Okay.
the E can be a little bit tricky. We just need to make sure that vowel is coordinated. We can make sure we're blowing a little bit stronger. But we also don't want that E to sound like it's popping too much.
Right.
Which is the very beginning of the excerpt as well, which is this little accent that we have here. Wagner is very specific with this accent, and in my interpretation, it doesn't mean accent,
Yeah.
but it is more trying to make us aware that this is the downing.
Yeah.
This downing. Because we have a rhythm here, and then we have two heavier notes after it, these dotted quarter notes. They're going to sound like the first of those is going to sound like it's the down.
Right.
So we kind of play it in a little bit more of a way that we give a little press into the actual down. And we let those dotted quarters just kind of taper off a little bit, make them a little bit lighter so they don't sound so heavy or so long.
So the rhythm doesn't get turned and beat 2 doesn't sound like beat 1 because it's longer.
Exactly.
Got it. Great. Was there anything else you want to mention about this excerpt, Chris?
Not much other than, even though it's marked 2Fs, be judicious with the volume here. If you're playing in an opera orchestra like I do in my summers in Santa Fe Opera Company, we wouldn't all be going 2Fs together. Keep in mind there is a section, there's going to be 4 of you actually if you're playing in the opera, and a bass trumpet, and the tuba on this one actually. So yes, give it a nice full sound, but we're after clarity here first and foremost. And then we can add the dynamic to it. If you can't get it at fortissimo, bring it back to mezzo forte where it feels comfortable. Always start with what you can do and go from there.
Well, thank you, Chris. I think that was really helpful and seems like a lot of tedious practicing, but I'm sure that it's really going to help in the long run.
Absolutely. It is tedious, but it's all the same, so gotta make sure it lines up just right.
Great. Well, thanks, Chris.
Of course, thanks for having me. Happy practicing, everyone.